I'm Paula. The phone on the marble kitchen island was dancing, a relentless stream of notifications lighting up the screen. It was a storm of confusion, anger, and desperation from my father, Victor, his new wife, Amelia, and my step-brothers. I took a deep breath, stepping out onto the heated terrace, the crisp night air hitting my face. The power dynamic that had controlled my life for so long was shattering right before my eyes. Let me rewind. My father, Victor, is a proud but narrow-minded man. He runs a small-scale real estate business that has been on the verge of collapse for years. After he married Amelia, a woman obsessed with social status, and they had 2 sons, I became an outsider in my own family. They always looked down on me, thinking I was just a struggling artist in the city. One day, I received a group text from Victor. It was about Christmas. This Christmas, it's just the core family. No outsiders, no distant relatives. Paula, since you're so caught up in your little art projects in the city, we've decided to keep the guest list tight at home this year. I'm sure you'll figure something out. I stared at the screen, that familiar feeling of being the unwanted daughter from his first marriage hitting me hard. What they didn't know was that my little art projects were actually a front for a high-end interior design firm. I had quietly made a name for myself in the industry, designing luxury spaces for the global elite. I had kept my success a secret to avoid Victor's constant requests for loans to save his failing business. I took a deep breath and simply replied, "Okay, no problem. Enjoy your quiet holiday." As I sent the message, I looked out of the floor to the ceiling windows of my penthouse. They had no idea that I had just finalized the purchase of the Oakwood estate, a $4,500,000 masterpiece of wood and stone nestled in the valley, just 20 minutes away from their modest suburban home. If Victor wanted a Christmas defined by exclusion, I was going to create one defined by grand inclusion. A plan started to form in my mind. Over the next 48 hours, I made a series of phone calls. I called my aunt, Lily, Victor's sister. They hadn't spoken for years because Lily married a man Victor thought was beneath their family status. I also called my cousins, who had been cut off for being too outspoken or not fitting into Victor's idea of a proper family. And I even called Victor's retired business partner, Mr. Thompson, the man who had actually laid the foundation for the company Victor now claimed as his own. "I'm hosting Christmas at my new estate," I told them, my voice steady and warm. "I've arranged for private black cars to pick you up. Everything, the food, the drinks, the rooms, is taken care of. I want us all together." The shock on the other end of the line was obvious. They knew me as the quiet niece who was struggling to make ends meet. On the 23rd, when the cars rolled through the massive iron gates of the Oakwood estate, the look on Aunt Lily's face as she saw the indoor pool and the 2-story library was priceless. We were no longer the outcasts, we were guests of honor in a place my father could only dream of. The estate was alive with activity. The smell of expensive pine and wood smoke filled the air, a far cry from the cold and tense atmosphere in my father's house. I had hired a top-notch catering team and a professional decorating crew. They transformed the grand ballroom into a winter wonderland. As my guests settled in, my cousin Ethan asked, "Paula, how on earth did you afford all this?" I smiled and led them to the dining hall, where a 20-foot table was set with fine china. "I stopped waiting for permission to be successful," I replied. "It turns out the world pays well when you design the spaces people want to live in." I shared the truth about my business, how I had used a corporate pseudonym to keep Victor's greed at bay. They were stunned but also proud. We spent the evening sharing stories about how Victor had made each of us feel small to boost his own ego. For the first time in my life, I felt the warmth of a non-transactional family. But as the champagne flowed, I kept an eye on the clock. I knew that Victor's Christmas Eve dinner would be ending soon. Amelia would be showing off her new jewelry, and Victor would be lecturing his sons about family legacy. At 8 p.m. On Christmas Eve, I pulled out my phone and signaled the professional photographer. "It's time for the group shots." Make sure the estate's name is visible in the geotag. I posted a carousel of high-resolution photos on Instagram. The first photo showed all 20 of us laughing in the grand foyer under a chandelier that cost more than my father's car. The second was a drone shot of the estate glowing in the snowy valley. The third was a candid of me and Aunt Lily clinking glasses in front of the fireplace. I tagged the location, the Oakwood private estate, and wrote a simple caption, "So grateful for the real family that showed up this year." No gatekeeping, no exclusions, just $4,500,000 worth of love and a lot of room for everyone who was told they weren't enough. Merry Christmas to those who know where they belong. I didn't have to wait long. Within 10 minutes, the notifications started pouring in. Victor's business associates and golf partners were reaching out, and the news spread like wildfire in our small town. I returned to my guests, ignoring the initial vibrations of my phone. I led the group in a toast to new traditions. By 10 p.m., the phone was going crazy. There were 42 missed calls, mostly from Victor, along with several from Amelia and my step-brothers. The text messages were a mix of tones. Victor's first messages were condescending. "Paula, what is this prank? Where did you take these photos? Don't be embarrassing." But as he realized the location was real and his friends were asking him about the party, his tone turned frantic. "Paula, answer me. Is that Lily? Why is my sister at a house I've never seen? Who paid for this? Answer your phone." Amelia chimed in with a passive-aggressive message, "We're all so confused. Honey, we should all be together tonight. Tell us the address and we'll bring dessert." I felt a wave of calm. I stepped out onto the terrace and dialed Victor back. He picked up on the first half ring, his voice tight and breathless. "Paula, what the hell is going on? People are calling me asking about a mansion. Where are you?" I smiled into the dark. "I'm at home, Dad. My real home. The one where everyone is welcome." "I'm coming over there," he barked, his voice a mix of authority and desperation. "We're all coming. We need to discuss this lack of transparency. You can't just buy a place like that and not involve the head of the family." I let out a soft laugh that stunned him into silence. "You aren't the head of this family, Victor. You're just a man who tried to make his daughter feel small so he could feel big. And no, you aren't coming over. I told you I understood your need for a tight-knit circle. Well, I built my own, and you didn't make the cut." I hung up and immediately blocked his number and Amelia's. I walked back into the ballroom where the music was playing and my newfound family was dancing. I told the security team at the gate that no one else was to be admitted for the rest of the night. The next morning, we woke up to a beautiful sunrise over the valley and enjoyed a gourmet brunch. The town was buzzing about the mysterious girl who owned the Oakwood estate. Victor tried to show up at the gates later that afternoon but was turned away by the guard. He eventually sent a long, rambling apology email, but I didn't need it. I had replaced his approval with my own sense of self-worth. I kept the estate as a place for a family I chose, and my little art project had finally built a life where I was in control.